Do you know that story about a boy who looked into a mirror and wondered if the reflection had a life of its own? What if it wasn't just a reflection? What if the mirror showed another world? A perfect twin of ours, but with its own unique rules. Sounds weird, right? But in 2018, Neil Turok and his colleagues proposed something just as fascinating, a mirror universe born alongside ours at the Big Bang. But this twin is nothing like ours. This universe is where the time flows backward, antimatter dominates, and physics dances to a different tune. Our universe is full of unsolved puzzles. Remember that movie, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button? Brad Pitt's character is born as an old man and grows younger as time passes. This is a clever narrative device prodding us to think about the course of our lives in a different way. And there is a good reason why reversing the relative direction of time is an effective tool of the imagination. In the actual non-imaginary world, it never happens. Time has a direction, an arrow pointing from past to the future, and it has same direction for everybody. What does it mean that the time has a direction? Now think about watching a movie played in reverse. Generally, it is pretty clear that we are seeing something running in wrong way in time. A classic example is a diver and a pool. If the diver dives and then there's a big splash followed by waves bouncing around the water, all is normal. But if you see a pool that starts with waves, which collects into a big splash and the process lifting a diver up onto the board and becoming perfectly calm, we know something's up. The movie is played backwards. Certain events in the real world always happen in same order. It's dive, splash, waves, never wave, splash, spit out a diver. Now take milk, mix it into a cup of black coffee. And never take coffee and milk and separate it into two liquids. Sequences of this sort are called irreversible process. We are free to imagine that this kind of sequence playing out in reverse. But if we actually see it happen, we suspect some trickery rather than faithful reproduction of reality. Irreversible processes are the heart of arrow of time. Events happen in some sequence and not in others. Furthermore, this ordering is perfectly consistent as far as we know throughout the observable universe. Someday we might find a planet in distant solar system that contains intelligent life, but nobody suspects that we will find a planet on which aliens regularly separate milk and coffee with few casual swirls of spoon. Why isn't that surprising? It's a big universe out there. Things might happen very well in all sorts of sequence, but they don't. For certain kind of processes, roughly speaking, complicated action with a lot of individual moving parts, there seems to be an allowed order that is somehow built into very fabric of the world. Out of time, then, is a brute fact about our universe. Arguably the brute fact about our universe. The fact that things happen in one order and not in the reverse order is deeply ingrained in how we live in the world. Why is like that? All the equations given by Newton and Einstein works the same, immaterial of direction of time. So physics does not restrict us from moving back into the time, and yet it is not possible. Again, there is asymmetry here. Now, as per Turok's theory, this asymmetry is settled, but in mirror universe. The entropy over here always increases. It is as per the second law of thermodynamics. Entropy will always increase. Things will always go from order to disorder. But exactly opposite happens in the mirror universe. There, things go from disorder to order. Now, this is as per Turok's theory. The entropy there decreases over time, and time as we know it reverses. Just for fun, let's see what would happen if entropy decreases. Time would run backwards. Processes we associate with time moving forward would reverse. A cup that shatters would spontaneously reassemble, and spilled water would leap back into the cup. Heat would flow from cold to hot. Ice cubes wouldn't melt. Instead, puddles of water would freeze back into perfectly shaped cube. Now, machines could generate infinite amount of energy without fuel as disorder decreases, making perpetual motion machine possible. And instead of eating to sustain energy, food would move backwards out of you, and you would somehow absorb energy directly into more ordered state. Evolution as we know it would stop. Evolution relies on random mutation and entropy to drive the change. In a decreasing entropy world, life might never have developed at all. Stars form from collapsing gas clouds, a process driven by entropy. A universe where entropy decreases might never allow stars, planets, galaxies to form in the first place. Big Bang would go in reverse. Instead of expanding, the universe might contract into perfectly ordered singularity, undoing all creations. There are certain things in the universe that is not symmetric. Tira's theory does provide some very simplistic solution to these mysteries. But are they true? Let me know what you think about it, and I'll see you next time around. Bye bye.